that things get done without me. And as crazy as it sounds, and I had this ego check, right? But our team is good enough and we have the right people on that they're able to do their role and they're able to do it really well. And so it, eliminates me from having to be, the second chain of command type thing.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So a little bit about myself is I'm a dad, first and foremost, and a husband. So I got 2 young kids with another one on the way.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
How old are your kids?
So I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then a new baby coming in August. So we're busy right now.
Hold on. I'm praying for you, man. I'm praying. I got a 12, a 9, and a 3-year-old.
Okay. So you're ahead of me, but you know how it is.
Yep.
But yeah, and then a beautiful wife. So we live here. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. So, that's family aside, business wise. I've been doing real estate since 2011. I have a small team. So we kind of we started out doing a lot of fix and flips, wholesaling. Okay. We've gradually transitioned to more buy and hold. We own small multifamily. And then we do virtual wholesaling as well. So we operate in the Phoenix, Tucson, and Jacksonville, Florida markets.
Wow, man. So you got in right either when the bubble had bursted.
Yeah.
But we were still in the wave. Like,
yeah, I got started, we were buying off the MLS, short sales, REOs, so that kind of stuff,
Man, you saying buying up off the MLS is like a foreign concept in investment world today. It's like, oh, you're not going to find anything. Yeah, but not if you were back in 2011, 12, 13. You could find a lot of stuff on the MLS.
Yeah.
Going for pennies.
No doubt.
So now you say you're primarily fixing and flipping? Is that kind of like the core focus?
We don't do as much anymore. We kind of do it more on a buy and hold. So we kind of operate that bird model. And then we wholesale. But we'll flip, like right now we're flipping 2 properties. So it's a small volume.
Nice. So now before in 2011, as you got into real estate, were you doing anything before that? Was it real estate related or are you working a different kind of job?
Yeah, good question. So I graduated college in 2009. As we all remember, there was no jobs out there. And so didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yep. My father was in real estate. I got my real estate license, jumped in, worked at Keller Williams. At Keller Williams, I got introduced to a fix and flipper who kind of brought me on at that point to help find properties. So that's kind of how I got immersed into this.
Okay. So you've never, after graduating, you never really took on a true employment into like your so-called career that you like. What'd you graduate? What kind of degree was it?
It was actually regional development from University of Arizona. So it's semi-real estate related, but I really didn't know much about it.
Right. So you kind of just went into the career pathway into real estate. And now, were there any hiccups? Like, like, hey, I kind of stepped out and went and worked at a W-2, came back into real estate, or you've just kind of been running full head of steam since 2011?
Yeah. So I've never stepped out of real estate. I've kind of just learned to love it. Never had a W-2 per se job, although we treat it similarly. But yeah, I kind of always had this idea that I wanted to grow within real estate and, kind of with the end in mind, I wanted to stay within it. So luckily I've been immersed in real estate since I graduated.
Okay. The key thing that a lot of people struggle with, myself, people senior to me, junior to me, is when you're a business owner, you have to be disciplined, right? Like you have to be focused and you have to be persistent.
Yep.
Did you struggle at all, or how were you able to overcome those situations being a young man, having graduated college and pretty much stepping into, pretty much your own business pretty much? Were there mentorships? Your dad, you mentioned was in real estate. Yeah. So what did you do to help you stay consistent?
Yeah. So you hit on it. I mean, mentors have been a huge part of my career, my life, and everything like that. So I've had mentors, and then also masterminds. I joined a mastermind. I've joined numerous masterminds over the course of my career, but kind of reinvesting in myself and building that network, building those people you can lean on when times do get rough, and you can kind of implement. So I'm no genius by any stretch of imagination, but I'm really good at seeing what others do and copying what they do. And that's kind of how I have just grown through in the business. So
okay, yeah, and I agree with you 100%. Like, we're not here to reinvent the wheel. We're just if something's working, let's just utilize it,
Yeah.
right? Now you
Right.
mentioned mastermind, right? Like a lot of people bring those up, a lot of people talk about them, and a lot of people encourage others to join masterminds. But there's a lot of fugaziness out here, right? So to say, how did you evaluate what mastermind you wanted to join? Were you referrals? Like, how did you kind of select what type of mastermind you wanted to be into?
Yeah. So initially, the first mastermind I got a part of was just through it was a local mastermind, but I
Okay.
got introduced to it through a friend, and they were young people doing real estate development. There was some attorneys, but it was just mostly about kind of giving back and how we could all collaborate. And that was the first one I got into, and then through that, it's kind of spiraled. So I've joined some really big masterminds. There's some out there, like you say, where it's more show to I'll show you what I have and the nice cars I have.
Yeah.
Which you kind of learned by trial by error. But there's always, I always try to take one or two things away from it. And like you kind of hit on, the more you give is the more you get back, right? So if you give and you're genuine, I think that you kind of get that back to you.
Yeah, no, 100% I agree. You're in Arizona, right? So
Yeah.
are you part of the Collective Genius by any
I was
chance?
part of the Collective Genius previously. Yeah.
Okay. I know that one is a lot of people from there are part of that group. So I know that.
Phoenix Guru Capital, right?
Good, yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So, okay, now, you've been in it for, what are we going on? 11 years, right? And that you've been in the game doing it since 2011. Now your projects, what are you doing? Are you raising capital? Are you raising funding? Was that a whole nother experience that you had to learn and adapt and grow into?
Yeah. So right now our projects consist of longer term holds. So we've accumulated up to 90 units, 93 units, ranging from single family. I think our largest right now is 14 units. Okay. So we kind of play in that small multifamily space. But yeah, absolutely. So raising capital is a crucial part of that. What we've learned, especially in this climate right now where money is out there, it's been a lot easier to raise capital than we thought, right? And I've always believed that if you can raise capital and if you can find good deals, you can make money in any real estate market, right? So we've really put an emphasis over the past probably a couple of years of just raising capital through family, friends, our network, and thankfully it's been a success.
Yeah, man. I can't believe how easy it is to get money out here right now. I am like literally astonished, man. I'm just like, I spent Wednesday last week. We're raising money for a deal, 3 million in less than 8 hours.
Yeah. No, we just did the same thing. We had a $980,000 purchase. Now, our initial lender kind of rearranged the terms, and I had a panic attack. And you kind of go through your Rolodex and you reach out, and we had the money raised that day. So
it's fun. Cool. But that comes with like what you've mentioned thus far, right? Starting out, your dad, right? Got you connected, got into Keller Williams, met up with a gentleman, taught you about fix and flipping. Masterminds, right? You got around people who could help influence your mind in a positive manner, right? So a lot of people think that, hey, I'm just going to jump in and I'm just going to crush it. No, I mean, can it happen? Yeah. Are there off cases? Sure. But I mean, what you're doing by pouring that knowledge into yourself, reinvesting into yourself is paying dividends now, right? Because we're likely headed to some uncharted territories of what the outlook of the market's going to look like in the next couple months, maybe even a year or so, right? I don't expect maybe potentially might crash the way it did, but things are going to change. I know rates are climbing, right? I just saw a rate go up from 4.5 last week to Friday was 4.95.
Yep.
Right. So definitely getting yourself educated and getting through those processes, right? So no, that's phenomenal, man. Like now, are you marketing through in-house or are you using other outlets? And the reason why I ask this question is this. I get asked a lot of questions about how do I find a deal? And most of these people that ask me are currently working or employed and work maybe 40 plus hours a week. So I say, look, you can network with other people, other wholesalers or other investors who are offloading properties, or you can partner or hire firms who do marketing for you and drive the leads to you. Oh. So talk to us a little bit, Kevin, about how you're generating leads and what your business kind of looks like.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head for us. So we previously used to like skip trays and handle our own marketing in-house. You still there? You're frozen on my end.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
The camera just froze a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, so we it's probably been about a year, maybe a little more than a year. We outsourced all of our marketing. So our marketing is now through a third-party mail house provider. They pull all the data, they do the skip tracing, they hit kind of the pain points, and so it allows us to focus on doing what we do, and that's analyzing deals, making the deals happen, and really raising the capital. Another thing, but we don't really focus on the marketing. The marketing is just we know every month, every week it's going out, and that's through direct mail channels. That's through text messaging. So that's our primary. We've tried the PPC SEO. We haven't had a ton of success with it, but that's our main source is direct mail and outbound calling and texting.
That this is something that you just described, right? Like figuring out what you're really good at and like doubling down on it. I've had the same realization with what we're doing, right? I'll put my hand up. I'll be straight up honest. Am I the greatest marketing machine? No, I'm probably like average, below average.
Yep.
However, on the other side, sales, like you get me into 10 homes, I'll close 9 of them in a day. Yep. So I'm just we're talking internal, like, guys, what are we really good at? Like, why are we wasting so much time, energy on marketing? And when we can just have somebody who's a professional, let them do that. And what really kind of triggered it is in one of our marketing pieces, was text campaign. Something happened with the system, right? Now, this was at the time the only source of lead gen. We went literally a week without generating a lead because I now had to dive back in and figure out what was going on. I'm like, I had to cancel the appointments that I had. Like, this is not going to work. And that's when we started hiring partners and other agencies to start driving the marketing and just bring us leads.
Yep. And the consistency of it, right? You can do what you do, and that's, close deals where the marketing's going and you're not worried about adjusting the marketing campaign budget because it didn't work as much last month, or it's just going, and you have to be consistent with marketing. I'm a firm believer in it. So now that you've started doing marketing and utilizing other services, would you say the ROI on time and the invested money, you've probably made it back and more? Absolutely. 100%. I did an exercise one time and kind of went through how much money I was making and then valuing my time, right? And my time, I think at the time was like $92 an hour, right? And if I can pay somebody else less to do that, I'm freeing up so much more time for me to go make more money and do what I do and do what I enjoy what I do, right? So. Yeah, 100%. That's the thing. Everybody wants all this time and freedom, but they don't really look at the value. Hey, if we spend the money here, we'll get this time back that we want, right? Like I was spending probably north of 15, 20 hours on marketing a week, right? Just overseeing, managing. Once we started outsourcing and other leads started generating, I'm down to 5 hours. And I'd like to get to 0 hours on that space because those hours that we're saving, we're closing more deals. Absolutely. Yeah, man, that's phenomenal. So what now? So you say you have 90 units between residential and your largest multifamily being 14, right? Yep. Would it be safe to say that your aim or your goal is to just continuously creating more cash flow, just to generate more? Like, what is the business kind of heading towards that you project? Yeah, that's a good question that we actually went through in our last company meeting. So we used to have a goal, right, of owning, our initial goal was owning 100 doors, right? And that was just a number out of the air. It sounded good. We actually scaled that down and we're happy with where we're at, but we want to continue to grow. But it's more about the cash that we're generating, the passive cash flow, so to speak. And so when we're really focused on that, it allows us to attack better deals, raise cheaper capital. But that's more of our goal now. We want to continue to grow and add more doors to our portfolio, but it's a matter of now analyzing that cash flow as a better scale on it. Okay. So I follow this gentleman on Facebook. His name is Chris Rood, I think Rood, I believe it is. He had to put up a post up, very intriguing post, right? There's the velocity of money, fast money, medium speed money, and then slow money. And then he kind of broke it down and equated it such as fast money is like if things is like courses, wholesaling, right? You get in, you can get the money out quick.
medium speed money is kind of like your fix and flips, things like that. And then your slow speed money is, hey, that long-term cash flow that keeps happening, maybe bigger projects that take more of a bandwidth of time and investment to really see the return. Have you in your business kind of structured things in each of those buckets, or you say, you know what, we're focused on really that long-term slow money. Like we know we're going to get to it, but once it comes in, it's going to be like pouring it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a common, discussion in our company. So we obviously, the fast money creates the business, allows the business to continue running, pays the marketing, pays the employees, that kind of thing. But I did analysis one time, and I looked at the amount of time I was spending on the fast money, the wholesaling, the fix and flips, versus the amount of time I'm spending on my multifamily, the slower term. And if you break it down and you look at how your net worth projects, right? I was spending all this time over here on the fast money, but the slow money was building my net worth so much more. And that was a big brain shift, is I was allowed to kind of refocus my time and energy we probably spend more than 50% of our time on our long-term holds and our building that path of cash flow. So
that's a great analysis, because I had the same analysis and mine was the opposite of yours.
Oh, really?
So I have zero fast money. Like everything is either a fix and flip to a burr, right? Like term finance, or they're just larger projects, right? And I'm like, man, like what happens is, like, generally in business, and I'm sure you'd agree, you kind of want to ride the wave like this, right? You get through the way, ups and downs. But I find myself, boop, boop, boop. And when I get to the top is fun. When I get all the way to the bottom, my stomach's in knots, right? So now what we've done is we've kind of recalibrated. We're like, okay, we can't buy every single project. Like there's just some projects that are going to be very fruitful for the business to keep, and some that aren't. So now we've kind of started more evaluating from a wholesale perspective as well, so that we can unload and just kind of, like you said, keep the cycle of money. So it takes care of the day to day, all the while building the long-term asset portfolio, like you mentioned. And no, that's phenomenal, man. I think
a real key point on that is being crystal clear on your buy box, right? What kind of properties do you want to own and continue to own, so you don't get that shiny object syndrome when a lead comes in, maybe it doesn't fit exactly in your buy box, but you have another alternative, whether that's fix and flip or wholesale it out. So
same thing. I had a deal come to me, 22 units in Alaska, and I was getting ready to hop on the plane, right? I was like getting prepared, like looking at my flights, and I'm like, do I want to go to Alaska in December if something happens?
Right.
No, thanks. Right. Like, and then that made me realize, like, like we need to like really narrow down what we're looking at. And no, you're 100% right. Like that shiny object syndrome, it is a killer, man. It kills businesses, bro. It wipes people out. I know in the beginning, I know when people start off, they get a lot of that. It's just horrendous, man. What does your business look like now? How many employees? How's it structured? Like, are you the CEO and then you have an integrator, or like, what are you looking like?
Yeah, so good question. We've gone pretty lean and mean, and after COVID is kind of when that really happened. So we have myself, I'm more of the visionary type, and then I have a full-time, 50-50 partner, and he's great. He's more of the analytical, integrator.
Okay.
So he kind of handles stuff that I'm not good at, and vice versa. We have a full-time girl that works for us. She's a W-2 employee, and she's fantastic. She kind of does everything for us. I don't want to call her an admin, but a glorified admin.
Yeah.
A full-time GC that was on staff. We have an acquisitions agent. And then right now we have we have 2 VAs as well that work part-time. So out of the Philippines.
Okay.
But yeah, we're pretty lean and mean.
Are you fully virtual, or you have office? Like,
we are fully virtual.
Talk to me about that, man.
Our office closed actually in March of 2020 with COVID. So we've gone to this virtual model and seems to be working out.
So tell me about, okay, so you've had an office, so you see the pros and cons there.
Yep.
Now that you're virtual, has pros and cons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the, some things that I've heard from talking with other people, pros in terms of having an office, like you can get to the conversation right away, right? If somebody's sitting there, you can get to it. How has that changed now that you're being virtual, right? Like what are some dynamics that you've had to develop to be better at being virtual?
Yeah, good question. So I will say we do meet as a team once a week. So that's usually about 4 hours a day for that day.
Okay.
And that's usually on Tuesdays. So we do get together. What we found to be beneficial for us is just the time savings, right? So we have a call, 10 minutes, first thing in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. We all jump on a quick 10-minute call called a daily huddle. We go through anything that's maybe pressing, needs to be addressed right away. And anything that may need my help or somebody in my company's help, right?
Okay.
So we do that. The other thing we found be extremely beneficial is so it's not a matter of getting together and we sit around and BS for 10 minutes and then we talk for another 15 minutes and then we finally get to the topic, right? So we have a quick 30-minute call, but everything's scheduled, and that's really cool. We were able to go into each other's schedule, block out time, and so I'm not getting pulled in different directions.
Yeah.
And it allows me to kind of stay really focused throughout the day.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. I mean, so like now, I don't know if there was before, but now, like, are you finding that your team members, your employees are more empowered to make decisions, right? Being that you're virtual, when hot things come up on the stove, are they more empowered and have the ability to make decisions to move the business along, or is there still like a really, bureaucratic type of chain of command, like, hey, you got to go to the next level and so on and so forth?
Yeah. No, we've our team, I think, feels the ability to make decisions on their own. They know what they're good at, what they're supposed to be. We all have the same vision, right? So that allows them to be confident in any decisions that they make. And we did a good exercise. Myself and my business partner stepped away from the business for 2 days. You couldn't reach me, you couldn't email me, and I wanted to find out where the kinks in the business are, right? And so it taught me that things get done without me. And as crazy as it sounds, and I had this ego check, right? But our team is good enough, and we have the right people on they're able to do their role, and they're able to do it really well. And so it eliminates me from having to be the second chain of command type thing.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Yeah, like we're like mixed. Like we're in office right here with my assistant, and then we have virtual employees, and we're in that mixed period. I'm a little bit more like, I like to have that little office setting, but who knows, it might change as the portfolio grows more and we're at a different equilibrium than where we are now. But no, this is a great thing, because I do believe, though, that the industry is trending towards virtual work, even within the US, right? Like COVID, I think, has just been a catalyst to speed that up. It made, like, my brother-in-law, works for TD Bank. They just shut down like a 40,000 square foot office.
Wow.
Because they realized, like, wait a minute, every single team member functioned just fine. Like, let's say 95%, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't miss a beat. There was a little bit of a curve in the beginning just to get things ironed out, but overall things are functioning. So why are we going to hold this massive building when the work still gets done the same way? They just put some more security measures in on their IT side, buttoned up their servers, and all systems go.
Yeah. Conversely, I do think that in our companies, I think culture is a big thing in any company, and our culture is probably not as strong as it was when we were all together, And so we're trying to do more, happy hours, meet for lunch, that kind of thing. Because, sitting in your house or a coffee shop or wherever you're working and you're not with your team, it affects the company culture.
It does. It does. I agree with you 100%. I was telling my assistant here, I was like, yeah, we got to do a happy hour or something, just to break the monotony of just day-to-day work, right? Like, there's more things going on in life than just making money and buying real estate properties. So I agree with you 100%. Culture will keep and retain employees.
Yep.
You have a bad culture, it doesn't matter how much you pay them, they'll leave. It doesn't matter. No, that's awesome, man. So, just to kind of summarize a little bit what we've talked about, right? So the education part that you taken in and soaked in from beginning from college, and your father, being in real estate, and then working with Keller Williams, you did, gaining all these experiences from Masterminds, taking those and applying those, right? Not letting them sit on idle shelf, right? Like, you took those information and you applied it, right? So now that you've applied it and you're developing the business, you're trying to really stay in your buy box and purchase properties that you want to take and hold. And then obviously out of those buy box, wholesale out. So is there like what is your near future goal that you have? I don't mean something like arbitrarily 5 years from now, like something within the next 3 to 6 months that, man, you really want to accomplish and you're really trying to push towards it. And the reason why I ask this is because as the audience is listening, maybe somebody out there can get help, right? Maybe they don't have the money or all the knowledge, but they have the time to give to you to learn, right? And they can then get themselves going. So this is kind of going into the third E, which is the enrichment part. So tell me a little bit about, what your short-term goals that you're trying to really achieve and kind of get to.
Yeah. So I'd say for us right now, I mean, in the short term, we're really just trying to make sure we're stabilized in everything, right? And that's going from, just stabilizing our debt. We want to be, low debt to income or debt rate. On that, we want to make sure that we're not in any long, short-term loans that maybe we have to get out of. And because like you said, if there is a correction, we don't want to have a loan called due that we're stuck. But we're continuing to buy. I mean, we're still bullish on the multifamily market. That's really what we're focusing on. We believe there's still a housing shortage. There's people need a place to live. And rates, they're 4.5%, 5% now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty cheap money.
Yes.
So we're still bullish. We're still actively buying, and we have a goal every year. We want to add another 100 units, but we really have a goal that we want to have $30,000 passive income from our real estate every single month.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Our goal. So if we can get there, we're just continuing to do the right steps to get there.
Do you have any thoughts of, like, how people say sometimes, we're in residential, but we're moving to segue into multifamily full-time or commercial storage or mobile home parks? Is that something that you have as an outlook, or you still have a desire and an interest to stay into residential market and then all the while evaluating and purchasing and acquiring multifamily?
Yeah, we're sticking to multifamily. I've been in some masterminds where a lot of people have made the transition into storage. Mobile home parks are the hot thing right now. But we believe that we're good at what we do right now, and we're going to continue to keep the pedal down and continue on that. And we don't want to deviate, right? So for us personally, we're just going to stick to what we're good at and continue to stay in this multifamily space.
That's awesome, Kevin. That's phenomenal. So now that you've been in real estate, right? How do you feel real estate has enriched your life? How do you think it's changed it personally, for the bad or the good? And how do you feel real estate has kind of blossomed your business as well? This is really like evaluating what you're getting out of this process.
Yeah, that's a good question that, takes some thought, but I think that what comes to my mind is that, real estate is a vehicle, right? That allows us to get to what we all truly want. Yeah. It's challenging, right? It's been fruitful for the last few years. The market's been great. We're riding this wave. It's been great. But I think what I've learned personally is, like, get your systems and be super disciplined so that you can survive in any real estate market. Because if it does change, I still think that the systems we have in place right now would be just as good as they in 2009 as they are now, right? Because we're really good at raising money. We can find deals. And if we continue doing that, I think over the long term, we're going to be just fine. So, I just think it's created a discipline in my life, in other aspects.
Yeah. A lot of people would say that they're nervous about if the market were to crash, right? But as a real estate investor, if the market crashes, great. I'm just going to buy properties even cheaper than what I'm buying them now.
Exactly.
There's
more wealth is made during the downturn, right?
Exactly. It's like stocks. Buy low, sell high, right? So yeah. I would argue the opposite. Like, don't be afraid. Embrace it. Now, I'm not saying here, let's pray for people's downfall. Obviously, we're not saying that. But embrace when that pivot comes, because that's all you have to do is pivot. Like, okay, well, if I was buying it at 80 cents on the dollar, with the way the market is, I can buy it for 50 cents on the dollar or 40 cents on the dollar. Your cost of money might change, fine, but I'm still going to access the money and get out what I need to do. The numbers just change in the bandwidth of where you're at. So, like, people should be willing and wanting to embrace when this market corrects itself, so to say.
Right.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Really got a business and who's just doing this and riding the wave, right? Because
exactly,
weed out those.
Who's in it just because it's a hot streak,
right?
Versus who's really, like you said, this is my core focus. Let's go get it, right? If we're buying multifamily for 70 cents, I can't wait to buy for 30 cents on the dollar. Because when it goes back up to 70, all I'm doing is refining and buying more.
Exactly.
That's all it is, man. Now, do you have any of your own and how do you help people that were once in your shoes when you were starting out?
Yeah, so I think there's a need and a focus of mine to give back, right? And so I'm an open book. I love when somebody that maybe newer to the industry is asking me any sort of questions. I'm happy to go to lunch or get on a call, Zoom calls, whatever it is, because I feel like I learned so much. I was given so much at an early age that I've been able to turn into a positive for myself, and it needs to be given back. So I believe in that. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to show and boast what I have, but at the same time, if anybody wants to, jump on a call, I'm an open book. Absolutely,
man. I am the same way. I like this whole thing we're doing here is literally for everybody that comes up and says, "Oh, how do you do it? How do you do it?" Well, I don't know everything, guys. Like I get around people like Kevin and other people, and they teach me and show me, and every time I do this, I learn something new.
Yep.
Every single time, right? One of the biggest things that I'm taking away from you, two things, is outsourcing the marketing. Like you just confirmed to me what I was implementing. I'm looking at the person on the opposite side of this camera that is already doing what I'm implementing, right? Number two, getting the knowledge. You are not hesitating to get into groups and areas and people to expand and grow your business, man. No, 100%, I agree.
That's the number one investment I think people need to make is into themselves, right?
Absolutely, man. No, listen, I appreciate you definitely being on here. Yeah. How can people get a hold of you? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook? Where are you at?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm not on TikTok, but you can reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at KevSims13 on Instagram. We also have the ThePhixGroup AZ on Instagram. So reach out either way, or Facebook. You can find me too.
Sounds good, man. Kevin, I appreciate you jumping on, brother. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Amit.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, dude, that was, you want to talk about eye-opening. I left a high-paying W-2 job with stock options, car allowance, everything. I have people telling me I'm making a mistake, that basically stupid for making this decision. You're going to fail. Why would you do this? All this negativity all around me.